Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. My name is Andy Wilson, and I'm the Executive Director, and I am your host today. And I need to welcome my guest today, Michael Lebhar. Welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back here.
Man, it's great to man, you're looking good today. I love it, man. You look like you're from L.A. Oh, you are from L.A., are you? That's
I'm
right.
represented.
Yeah, I mean, you are looking good today, man. Thanks for stopping in. You know, I appreciate Michael's in Northwest Arkansas. He has a company here. We're going to talk much about that today. And he's here to visit his company. And we chatted a bit. And I said, hey, man, get in here. You're in Arkansas. You're in Northwest Arkansas. So, man, thanks for making time.
Anytime. Yeah, this has to be like my second home.
I love it. So. That's great. Well, I'm glad you, he was just telling me the story. I shouldn't probably tell this on you, but anyway, he's telling me, hey, Andy, now those parking spots up at Walmart home office in the front, are they for executives? I'm like, yes. I said, why? He said, I parked there. I went, you still got your car? Man, I can't believe you got by with that.
Yeah, I realized as I was leaving, pulling out, I saw one of the VPs walking out there. I saw to our car. I was like, oh, shoot, probably parked in the right spot.
Well, all right, man, I'm glad you're here, and maybe you can get out of town here after the podcast.
Yeah.
So, okay, Michael is the CEO of Sellcord. It's a great company. Michael's going to talk about it. And so, Michael, why don't you share about the company and introduce yourself and the company, and then we're going to just jump straight in to what we're talking about today is the Walmart marketplace. So, Michael, tell us about it.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're Sellcord. We're a Walmart agency. So we exclusively focus on Walmart. So I come from a supplier background. So I started selling online early on and then, expanded to Walmart. Saw a lot of success with Walmart and realized that, Walmart was evolving so quickly. And, the partners in the space facilitating brands, we mainly focus on other channels. So Walmart was becoming like an afterthought or second thought. If they started offering services for Walmart, a lot of times they didn't really fully understand it. So realized there was an opportunity here to really help these brands succeed on Walmart.com and the Walmart ecosystem. And so, what we've really done is we built a set of services as well as products to really help brands that are, trying to expand, their channels. So they want to expand to sell on Walmart.com, Walmart Marketplace, potentially even get into stores eventually. So help those brands as well as help the brands that have been selling on Walmart for decades. But now with Walmart Connect and Walmart Marketplace, it's this whole new evolution of what Walmart.com really is, helping them adapt to that and really grow and scale and thrive on the platform. So that's what we've been founded on. And it's been really fun. We manage over 400 brands on the platform, over $1 billion in sales. So we've been able to really help craft a lot of strategies and work with really cool brands. So it's fun.
Okay, well, that's awesome. And we're going to get into specificities around that. So if you're wanting to get a new item on the Walmart Marketplace or a new item in the Walmart stores, or you want to expand your assortment, you need to watch this and listen because Michael's going to walk us through how to do that. Now, okay, I have to ask you a question though. All right, before we get into this, because you're like a really interesting guy and I really like hanging out with you, but you started your company or selling a product, I guess a better way, selling a product when you were 16 years old?
Correct. Yeah. So we started, our first product, I think I was 16. Yeah, I just turned 16. And then, that's when we even built our brand, started building our brand that year. And it kind of all started from there.
That's awesome. What was your first product?
So it was workout gloves. So it was like this cool type of workout glove that had like an open front and it was like really strong wear support. And that took off pretty well. So yeah, that was cool.
Where did you sell that?
So we started with Amazon.
Okay.
We sold it on eBay as well.
Yeah.
And then, a couple years in, that's when we expanded it to Walmart.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Okay. Well, Michael's got, as he mentioned, he's got a great company, over 400 brands, over $1 billion in revenue. Says that he's, in his company, and he's got a company here in Northwest Arkansas. You come to see your folks here, visit with them. How's that going here?
Great. Yeah. We're really looking, most of our team's in LA, and just really around the world, but now we want to kind of really expand a lot more here. It's so good to be next to home office. It's so funny, when we're here, it's just everything just breathes Walmart. So I'm checking out my hotel. I meet a potential client in the lobby. Yesterday I was in Walmart headquarters for a meeting, And I went for a meeting about my agency, but then I was just in the hallway waiting for the meeting, and I just saw one of my buyers that I work with, and I was like, great, I had like a 15-minute quick meeting there with them. So yeah, it's just cool.
It is.
You know, like the opportunities, like just in this.
You know, you're so right. And, you know, I was always 30 years at Walmart, and I love hanging out here because I know so many people from the past and people current. And I mean, we're chatting retail all the time and focus on retail, omnichannel, all the stuff that's happening today for the consumer. And it's so exciting. I think retail today is probably more exciting than ever. And I've been around retail since a kid, and I grew up helping my dad in his retail store. So, you know, I've seen it, the evolution. It's awesome, isn't it? What's happened?
It's so cool. And now there's so many facets to it and so many different kind of components to like what retail is, how, you know, retail is evolving. And I think that's what's really cool. It's like changing so quickly.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, let's get into it. All right. Now, let's get into your company, what your company does. Walk us through your process of how you help someone get their product from an idea to online.
Perfect. Yeah. So usually the case we'll work with is, you know, a lot of brands that we're working with are either already, you know, selling their product on other channels, and they haven't really tried Walmart yet, or they've tried selling on Walmart, but, you know, they aren't reaching real success yet. So the process we'll go through for those brands is, you know, on Walmart, there's so many nuances for what makes products successful on Walmart. So what we'll do is we'll get a good idea of the product. Our team will understand the product, understand the brand, and then completely recraft the listing specifically for Walmart that's structured based on Walmart's best practices. So that's one of the key things we do, where it's like we'll completely rewrite the titles, descriptions, back end of the listing to be optimized based on Walmart style guides. And then by doing that initial legwork of really matching it to what Walmart wants, all the rest of the efforts that we'll put in after go a much further way. So like that's kind of foundational, and that we'll do that. So that's kind of like a really big thing that we'll do. And then, you know, also a lot of times with 1P suppliers, they're expanding to 3P, and they need a lot of item setups. And the item setup on 3P is it's similar to 1P, but it's different. And, you know, these days, just because there's so much more competition, 1P suppliers used to be able to get away with like not having listings optimized so well, not including all the keywords. Nowadays, it's just so much more competitive. So you have to make sure your listing is really, you know, not only reads really well, Walmart's system has to pick it up well, and it has to just have all the right keywords in there. So we'll help actually set that up so that you're actually set up for that.
Speak a bit more about the optimization, because I know that's critical today. So go a bit deeper, because I know you really go deep on those products about that and with those suppliers.
Yeah, for sure. So there's so much with optimization. So I think, first of all, you really want to understand the keywords that are driving the volume on Walmart, right? So we like doing buckets of keywords, right? So there's going to be the keywords that drive the most volume. So let's take beds, for example, right? You know, if you're selling a bunk bed, obviously, you know, the main keywords are going to be bunk bed, and then you're going to have some other kind of, you know, twin bunk bed, and you're going to have a few that are more kind of specific to the item. And then you're going to have very general ones. You want to group like the main largest keywords, right? From there, you also want to include some keywords that are a little bit more specific to your item, because those keywords you're going to convert much better for. So for example, you know, if your bed's a certain size, so it's like let's say twin bunk bed, green, you know, green twin bunk bed or whatever. So the thing is, on Amazon, a lot of those most specific keywords drive a lot of volume. On Walmart, it's not necessarily like that. So a lot of the very specific keywords don't drive a lot of volume. So you don't want to focus too much on there. You obviously want to include those ones because you're going to convert really high for those keywords. But you want to really put in the focus on those main keywords. Shoppers on Walmart, obviously there's less traffic on Walmart than there is on Amazon. So in general, the keywords have less volume. So you want to, but some of the keywords just still have tremendous volume. So you just want to focus on the ones that bring a ton of volume. And also just shoppers on Walmart, from our experience, they don't search as in detail as they do on Amazon. So when they search for items on Amazon, they a lot of times write out a lot of the details of what they're looking for. On Walmart, a lot of times they search shorter keywords. So because of that, you're going to want to really understand the keywords you're going after. Once you have that list, now you could properly craft your listing with the right ideation of like, these are the keywords we want to include. Because on Walmart, your title should be much shorter than it is on Amazon. So you have way less space to include all these keywords you want. You have to really decide the keywords are going to drive the volume and make sure you include those in your title, because the keywords in the title are going to hold the most weight. And then if you have other keywords, you're going to want to include those ones in your descriptions and your key features. So you can include more keywords there, but they're obviously not going to pull the same weight as if it was in the title.
Right. Okay. And you help them, you help that supplier with all the keywords and navigate that and make your suggestions on exactly what on Walmart, exactly what will help them drive that business. So talk about the catalog. I know that's really important too, setting up the catalog right. Okay, and can you expand on that any further?
Yeah, for sure. So, catalog setup on Walmart obviously is so important. Walmart constantly rolls out changes. So now they have something called Item Spec 5.0, which is basically has a lot of requirements in the back end of what they want you to fill out, but also how they weight certain aspects of your listing. So it's really, really important to kind of understand the implications of what Walmart cares about, and then also all these different fields and how important they are for your catalog setup. So when we think about catalog setup, we think of a few things. I think first of all, it's really, if you have a large assortment of items, it's really important to kind of understand your goals with the different items, right? Because like a lot of items are going to should be higher priority just based on the type of opportunity there is on Walmart for those. So because when you have larger catalogs, it's really hard to kind of dive in and, do the best job on every item. So what you're going to want to understand is like, number one, like which items are the best opportunity. Number two is like which items, are, maybe there should be part of a 1P program. Maybe there should be part of a 3P program. Should they be enrolled in Walmart's fulfillment services? There's different things. So you want to really take a time to understand the different categories on Walmart. You'll see some categories have a lot of demand, but not so much assortment. So those are like really good opportunity categories. Some categories are extremely competitive, and a lot of items, for not as much demand as other categories that have less assortment. So based on that, we kind of decide kind of what the priority items are so we can really put the right focus. But then as it comes to actually setting up the catalog, we'll really come in and focus on the back end and the front end of the listing. So a lot of people ignore all the back end of the listing, but it's so important because that's how Walmart actually helps map your listings and categorize everything properly. And Walmart's always coming out with updates still, so it's very important to not only do good setup, but just stay on top of the updates. If you do the good initial setup, the updates that Walmart puts out isn't too much to handle because you're already in a good spot, so it's just small improvements. But if you don't take the work to actually set up properly with Walmart, then every update that comes out that is just puts you more and more behind. So that's why it's really important when it comes to catalog setup to just make sure you're following their style guides. Walmart has style guides of what they do, and we help suppliers kind of do that and set that all up. And we have teams that are experts in every one of these areas because there's so much to kind of know about each one of the best practices for each of these areas. Okay,
man, this is great. So we're ready to launch. Okay. What happens when you launch your item? Now, you've done the back work, the front end, the back end. You got the keywords done. Okay, you're ready. Okay, talk about that.
Yeah. So when it comes to launching a product, this is where it gets kind of fun. So there's
it is fun.
Yeah. There's different things. Obviously you could do, but these are kind of the main levers. So we want to obviously make sure we go through this phase where we want to make sure everything about the listing's in good positioning, right? So besides the setup, you want to make sure, obviously, you have good reviews. So for reviews, Walmart has a program called Review Syndication, where you can move over reviews that you might have on your site onto Walmart. So just now customers, when they see your product, they're likely to buy it. You're going to want to make sure your shipping settings are set up correctly. You have as quick shipping as you can. If you can enroll in Walmart's fulfillment services, you're going to have a Walmart Plus badge. It's going to be free shipping for Walmart Plus subscribers. Plus, it's going to be pretty quick shipping. So that works really well. And then once you're confident with those steps and those steps are set up properly, we're going to work on ranking the item. Now, for ranking an item, the way we like doing it is those same keywords that we used when we were making the listings. We actually take those keywords and then we really put the focus on those keywords. So the most effective thing is going to be Walmart advertising, leveraging Walmart Connect with very targeted campaigns that are focusing on the very specific keywords we want to rank for, because Walmart's algorithm strongly favors conversion rate, right? So when customers see your product, do they click on it? When they click on it, do they add it to cart? when they add it to cart to they buy it. And you know, the better your percentages for that stuff, the better you rank and the better you show up organically. So you know, you want to make sure that you're sending very targeted traffic, because if you're sending just doing campaigns, but a lot of people aren't clicking on the campaigns or aren't adding to cart, it's not going to necessarily do you good. It could sometimes harm your listing. So you want to make sure you're focusing on those right keywords, setting up the right campaigns to help build momentum. And if you did those other steps properly, your listings was optimized well, you used, you're enrolled in WFS, or you have quick shipping because it's a 1P item, you have reviews on your listing, your content looks good, then most likely you're going to start building up that traction. And the way Walmart works is there's an ad relevancy. So Walmart Connect, the way it works is there's like a score assigned to your kind of, so to say, to your item. And if your ads are starting to do well, then Walmart's going to let you perform better with your ads. So you start picking up momentum. And once you pick up momentum with the ads, your organic placement starts picking up momentum, and it's really tied together. So, you know, I like thinking about Walmart Connect as like, don't think of it always the same exact way. The things you'll do with advertising with Walmart Connect to launch your item is going to be very different for your sustainable strategy. So like when you're setting up your campaigns to launch, it's going to be a different approach, and you might go more aggressive and you might go more targeted on very specific keywords. Once you get out of that phase, there's a different strategy we'll talk about how to address that. But for launch phase, like that's a little bit of how we approach it.
Good, great. Well, I can see how you're such a great resource for the suppliers. There's a lot to all this. Okay, anything else on the marketplace? Because I want to talk about brick and mortar a bit. Okay, so anything else you want to talk about there before we move to brick and mortar? Yeah.
So I think a little bit to kind of that we could kind of talk about is that, you know, there's a lot of opportunity with marketplace, but regardless of the opportunity with marketplace, obviously there's still a lot of opportunity with Walmart.com for 1P suppliers. The thing is, I think it's very important for 1P suppliers to be aware of what's happening on marketplace, and for marketplace to be very aware of what's happening on 1P. And I think if you're a 1P supplier, and this always comes up, and I always think about this, if you're a 1P supplier, sometimes it makes sense to move over to marketplace for some of your items, but sometimes, even if you're not going to move over any items to marketplace, it still makes sense to have a really good understanding of what's going on there, because that's where you're competing with, right? So, you know, we see a lot of brands that are 1P and they're doing really well forever. They're now having some challenges because, first of all, when you search any keyword, the first row, you don't even see organic placements until you start scrolling. So it doesn't matter if you have the top item, nobody's seeing that item. They're just seeing sponsor placement. So there's a certain amount of customers that don't scroll past and just discover initial results on Walmart Connect. Then now you're completely missing out on those customers. So number one, like, how are you addressing Walmart Connect? Even if you're a top items, and how are you addressing it in a sustainable way? Like, again, you still want to be profitable, so you're not going to just throw away money but with advertising. But there's a lot of opportunity where if you're structured correctly, you could add a lot of incremental sales and protect your share of voice and still do it profitably. It just has to be structured the right way. It's very easy to lose money with advertising, but if you structure it correctly, you could make a lot with it. And I think it's coming to a point where it's not like a nice to have. It's that you're going to slowly lose more and more of your share of the shelf if you don't invest in those. Because now what's happening is customers looking for, let's say, a folding table as an example. They used to find just the number one folding table would show on the top. Now there's a sponsored brand on banner that you see. You have to scroll a little more. You see the first 4 sponsored placements, which most of those are marketplace sellers. Right. And then you see kind of the top item, which a lot of those customers don't even discover that top item because they're purchasing and discovering from those other items. So, and then the advantage you have as a 1P supplier is a lot of people, sometimes it's recognizable brands. They have really good price points. So when they're running the advertising, they're converting much higher than a lot of these other placements. So it's really important to understand that from an angle, but also to understand that when you're within the rest of a lot of, if you're in the, as a 1P supplier, that's a large Walmart vendor, if you look through kind of the rest of the pages, you know, you're right. Your top items will probably still be top besides that, the advertising, so to say, issue. But a lot of your bottom feeders, they used to kind of, you used to be able to find them more, but now we're seeing with a lot of suppliers, like those are driving less and less volume because there's so much new assortment from marketplace sellers. So I think it's really important that as a 1P supplier, either you have a really strong approach for those that bottom half of your catalog and what you're going to do to make sure you keep relevance there, or consider a strategy that leverages marketplace for those items. And that's a lot of times, because the reason why you might consider marketplace for those items is with marketplace you have a lot more levers to pull. You could pull them a lot quicker. There's a lot of things you could do with promotions. So it's crazy. We had this one client over Black Friday. They had a brand new item with marketplace. It was doing like $10,000 the month before. And on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, throughout that weekend, I think it did like 1.7 million in sales as a brand new marketplace item on .com. And with marketplace, there's a lot of levers you could pull because they promote items on top pages, and marketplace has a lot more, so to say, power within the ecosystem now. So I think it's really important as a 1P supplier to decide, like, either some of your assortment makes sense there, and when deciding that, there's items that make sense, items that don't make sense. But if not, at least be aware, of that competition and how we could, how you could kind of address it.
Now, do you help guide the suppliers through that whole process you just talked about?
Yeah,
and give them advice on what they should do with those items and look at their sales history. You research all of that, and that way you're able to offer them some great advice.
Yeah,
is that how you do it?
Yeah, right on the button. Like that's the key of how I founded the company, where there's so many ad agencies and kind of different people in the space. For us, it's more about like being an extension of the team. I think if you're a successful supplier, there's a lot of things that you're doing right that are making you successful. Now, granted, there are these new challenges with .com and what that means, but our approach isn't like come in there, run some advertising, come in there, help with some things here and there. Our approach, or mess with things that you have that are working. You obviously have things that you're doing that are working if you're a successful supplier. Our approach is really understand your business, understand the pain points. We already know a lot of the current growth that's happening on the platform and the changes that are coming, and then figuring out where we could, once we understand your goals, how you could leverage the different Walmart programs and different Walmart levers to pull where it makes sense. So I was just on site at a client meeting yesterday, and that's really what we dove into. It's like, yeah, like for them, they're a 1P supplier. There's some advantages with marketplace for certain items, and we're figuring out like which items does it make sense to do that for, how they leverage Walmart Connect. How does that make sense? Which lever should we pull? And for different collections of theirs, they have different strategies and different goals they want to hit. So that's a lot of what we go through when we work with our clients. It's a lot about really understanding that and figuring that out, and that's where it gets fun, because it's like you're able to add real value that way.
Right, and you're able to measure that and create success and grow business and gain market share, all of that. Yep. Well, I love that, Michael. I can tell you're very passionate about what you do. And I can tell you have a great company. Now, I know as the CEO, it sounds like you still get very involved in the details.
Yeah, so I used to not be as involved. I used to be more at like higher level involved in like some partnerships and business development stuff. And then really over the past, I would say like year, I really decided to kind of dive. I felt like I was losing some of the touch. Okay. And I feel like that's what made us unique, where, and I feel like the way we'd be able to motivate some of the team, but also understand the different key elements and build out the most successful processes, and is by really having a really good handhold on what's going on within the marketplace. And it's just fun. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy growing brands on working with cool brands, learning, meeting cool people. So our whole team is really hands-on. Really, all our leadership like really understands in their daily. Understanding the key differences, making changes, understanding, what things are happening, connecting with Walmart constantly. Like that's a big part of how we operate.
That brings me back to my days at Walmart. One of the things that I was in operations for my first half of the career before I went into the people division, human resource, but I still loved being a merchant. I love walking the stores, and I still do it today. I still walk the stores today. I sometimes I take friends or I take some business associates with me, and we walk the aisles. We talk to customers. We listen to our customers. We listen to the associates. Now, and it sounds like you're doing the same thing, but probably not walking the store physically, but virtually you are walking the stores, aren't you? Listening to your clients and customers. Is that correct?
Yeah, and even Walmart.com. Like I'm on the app every day, seeing different categories, clicking on different listings, seeing what goes on. I love going. I live in LA, so we don't have as many Walmarts. I'm like, when I'm here, I always walk the stores because it's so much easier. But yeah, I love doing that. Just understanding like the assortment. I love also like when I'm in stores, like thinking about like, hey, why did Walmart choose these products? Like, I sometimes I stand and I just watch customers what they pick, and sometimes I'll go over them and ask them like, why do you pick that item and things like that.
Well, you're staying close to your customer, your clients. You're staying close to the merchandise, and I can tell why you're successful because you're so enthusiastic about it. You're right. So one of the things, if our guest is wondering, okay, what company should I choose? Well, okay, you heard it from a guy that's very involved in the business, hands-on, meets with you, talks with his team, listens. That's exactly success. That's how you create success, Michael. And
hopefully.
You've done that. You've done that with over 400 plus brands, $1 billion in revenue, and I think you're just getting started. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's what I always say to my team. It's like, I feel like what we've built is just like a start of an indication that like what we have is working, but there's so much to uncover. And Walmart's just so into the growth of marketplace and what that means, and we just saw that with the obviously the show that they did this past year.
Hey, talk about that. You were in Las Vegas, right?
Correct.
At the show. Give us some thoughts on that, because I had some friends that were there, and they gave me some thoughts on it. But yeah,
it was awesome. So we're pretty active in shows in general as a company. That's where we do most of our marketing because we like getting to meet people face to face. So at shows in general, so usually we're at like e-commerce trade shows, and that's where we meet people, and they're not as enthusiastic to talk about Walmart. It's usually a side thought, so we have to kind of like push it on. So being at a show, and we were one of the sponsors where that's all people were talking about, was really, really cool. So that was, first of all, you saw the people there were just enthusiastic about it. You saw growth, that like people just starting on the marketplace, and some like crazy tremendous growth. And I obviously knew the potential of Walmart, but it just even gave me more like reassurance, and just like just blew my mind of how some success that people are having that are really taking it seriously. So that was really cool. But I think the coolest thing was just Walmart, like just like their involvement, their like how humble kind of the leadership is, and how they really value like the marketplace community. The solution providers within that community are supporting it. The C-suite just really walked around, talked to us. I got to meet Doug, which was really cool. The current CEO of Walmart. So that was awesome, and just a lot of leadership there. You just saw how committed they are to investing in this, which was really great to see. They all spoke really well. I got to interview the vice president of WFS, Jure Buckley Cox, which was really interesting. And there was so much that they were investing from their side to make this really happen. So that was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, we had our Walmart alumni meeting, and there was a group of Walmart alumni there. And it was, first of all, I love going because I see a lot of my colleagues and friends that I worked with for a few years. And then, we get all the executives up front, and they spend time with us, and they listen to us, and and they walk around, and we get just we sort of grew up together, and we just look at them as individuals. But one of the things that every time I go is what's most exciting is that we've not lost our way. It's still about the people. It's still about merchandising, and they are still traveling stores and listening and talking and trying to make the company better. And that's exactly what I heard from the show in Las Vegas. They were out walking around, listening, talking to all the people, and the people that were there that had their products on Marketplace and wanted to get their products on Marketplace.
Yep, it's a screensaver on my phone. Well, I got two. I got one my wife and one Doug McMillan, so I can switch them back and forth, But
well, I won't go there. Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're going to wrap up, but it's always so great. One of the things, Michael, quickly on brick and mortar, and then we'll wrap. But on brick and mortar, any thoughts on that before we wrap?
Yeah, so I have my own brand that actually got into stores. We started on Marketplace and then got into Walmart stores nationwide. It's called 2x4 in the OTC category, which is really, really hard, Department 40. And I think with, stores, obviously such a great opportunity. I think what's really interesting about brick and mortar is that if you're a brand that's trying to get into brick and mortar, the best way you could do it is start on marketplace, start showing some success there, and then go into your meeting with that. If you don't, most likely you're going to show up to your line review or your meeting that you get with the buyer. The buyer's going to tell you start on marketplace, unless there is a very specific reason why not. That's usually what will happen. But what's really cool is what we've been seeing is that like we'll work with some vendors that have a line review in like 6 months, and they're already in stores for a bunch of items. And you know, likely they'll do fine with the line review. But what we'll do is 6 months prior, 4 months prior, we'll start working on that item, make sure it's optimized really well on .com, start pushing traffic through Walmart Connected on .com and building a lot of relevancy on that item. And then when they're going to meet their buyer, they have so much of a better story to tell.
Okay.
Of why to take the item in. So I think brands who really want to be successful with brick and mortar and how to address it, it's, you know, Walmart's an ecosystem. There's so many different ways, and it's a people company. Like the relationships are so important, and showing that you're putting your foot forward in the relationship with the .com side of it, now they could take the next step with the brick and mortar side. Like that's how a lot about we're approaching this. And I think, you know, people should start thinking a little bit more from that lens.
Good. Okay, great. Michael Lebhar, CEO of Sellcord, started at 16 years old, and you sound like you're just learning and growing. It's just beginning for you.
Awesome.
I wish you you and your company all the best. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
One other question. I know you hang out down in Northwest Arkansas every once in a while. Come see your team. I want you to come by the studio and let's chat. Let's do this when you come down on your visits, because I think there's going to be so much more in 2024 that we're going to need to talk about when it comes to all of this technology and online and e-commerce and all the stuff that's got Lemonade, Walmart Connect, you name it.
Yep.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, just touching the surface.
We are.
I love discussing stuff.
You're going to come back, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be back.
Okay, man. Well, thank you, my friend.
Awesome.
It's great. I'm enjoying getting to know you. By the way, this is our second episode. We have a first episode that you can go on LinkedIn and all of our social media platforms and watch. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and of course LinkedIn. Or you can go to our website, dbbnwa.com, and check us out. Check Michael out, okay? And because he's already up there on all that stuff. So Michael, thank you again. Thank you for letting us share time with you, and thank you so much for all your viewership and you're listening to us. And again, we're all on your smart speaker. So thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye.